In this episode, I talk with Dr. Pranay Parikh, where we look at the question, how can you do your full-time job while being an entrepreneur to fill the gaps that are missing in your life?
Welcome to Click AI Radio, where you'll learn the secrets to transforming your small to medium business. Grant has been helping businesses transform using technology for over 30 years. Advanced technologies like artificial intelligence have been available only to large companies and advanced technical teams. Grant will discuss how you can use to leverage AI and other technologies to grow your small to medium business. As a gift, Grant is offering his ebook, AI for Sales Growth, at clickairadio.com. Now, here's your host and BizTech geek, Grant Larson.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Financial Investing Radio. So today I have this opportunity. It's taken us a few times for me to chase him down. He's very busy. Dr. Pranay Parikh. I'm excited to talk with him. When I first saw the profile on him and realized the journey that he both has done and the one that he's on in his vision, I thought, I got to talk to this gentleman. I'm going to read the little clip that I got before I even let him say a word. I just want you to hear a little bit about him. All right, here we go. Okay, so hold on. Here we go. It's Dr. Pranay Parikh is a physician, co-founder, and president of Ascent Equity Group, a serial entrepreneur. We're going to want to ask him about that. Okay, online course creator and host of the MD to Entrepreneur podcast, which is really cool. Continuing on his unconventional journey, and I add it is, which is what makes this really cool. His unconventional journey to medicine helped him learn the skills to excel in entrepreneurship. He's launched a 7-figure online course, and he's bought over $1.1 billion in real estate. Wow. And he's helped hundreds of physicians launch their own businesses. His goal is to help launch 10,000 physician-led businesses. That's amazing. So I want to welcome here to the show, Dr. Pranay Parikh. Welcome.
Thanks, Grant. I'm super excited to talk.
It's so good to have you here. Now, we were both talking before we got started. We're both in the southwest part of the country. We sort of enjoy that. In fact, I think you and I might have even had our earlier growing-up years in the Northern California area. So we got a lot and similar, but the key difference is I am definitely not a doctor. I went and bought Band-Aids last night, and it took me a while just to figure that out. So I'm more of a tech and investing guy, but I am not a doctor guy. But I'm excited to talk to you about this and your journey. So thanks again for being here.
Yeah. Super excited to talk to you and your audience.
Okay, now something happened, right? You were growing up and you said, hey, I want to be a doctor, and you got moving down that path. But somewhere along that line, well, first of all, what kind of medicine have you been practicing?
So I did a residency in internal medicine, and I practice hospitalist medicine. So that means if you ever have to spend a night in the hospital, then I'd be your doctor.
Oh, okay. Is that the same as an internist? Is that what that is?
Yeah, so it's the same residency, but usually what internists do, they do outpatient medicine. So, your primary care doctor, they do some inpatient, but I'm kind of subspecialized. I only see people in the hospital.
The hospital itself. Okay, got it. Very good. All right. So you were on that journey doing that work, and something happened. Somewhere along the line, you sort of sat up and said, I need to add something either to my life or my purpose or my vision on top of this medical route. Tell me about that. What happened?
So Grant, it's kind of funny. So to get into medical school, you have to be well-rounded, right? You have to be doing all this other cool stuff, right? You can't just be a nerd like I was, really good at sciences and maths and all that stuff. They want someone, that reads a lot of books and does all this stuff. But after you get in, all that stuff gets taken away, it gets subtracted. And it kind of sucks for people like me that like doing a lot of other stuff. But you're so busy in medicine, doing your job, learning, that there's not much else you can do. So as soon as I got an opportunity to start doing other stuff, I did. So for example, in medical school, I used to hold art shows, and the money that we'd raise go to Doctors Without Borders. I was always trying to do stuff that was, a little bit outside the box. So as soon as I graduated and finished everything, I was like, okay, what can I do? Where can I go? And it's all this stuff that's been suppressed for so long.
That's amazing. You talked about Doctors Without Borders. I have a friend just Sunday night I was talking with. He spent a number of years. I think it went 5 times down to Central America. They were taking both dental as well as medical help and support into some of those areas there. It's fun to hear the service and the blessing that is to people that are missing those things. So you did these art shows that was providing support to them. That's a cool thing. So it sounds like there was either there's an altruistic thing that you needed to get filled in your life, right? I mean, something to reach out further in addition to the work you were doing that led you to doing this kind of work. Now, is that what led you at some point to say, I'm going to build sort of a business or be an entrepreneur on it? Is that what led you down that path?
No, so when I looked at the landscape after being graduated, I had a pretty decent salary, but I realized the most important thing is what I do with that money, not how much I can make. I could have just gone and bought a car or bought a house, and I'd be, I wouldn't have a ton of money to consider for my future, right? So I decided to rent a little bit longer, keep driving my Honda Accord, which I actually still have, 2012.
Nice.
So, it's what I do with the money. So, I did the stock market, but in this world, people that are most well off, and by well off, I don't care about the total number that's in my bank account. I care about freedom. I care about providing for my family, and I care about providing for my extended family. So the people that I've seen that have been able to do that are the people in business and real estate. So I thought, how can I incorporate one, or fortunately now both of those into my life? And what's the quickest way to do that?
Okay, excellent. So you have a broader vision about, hey, I want to make a difference, right? I want to help someone in the world, what not just my own family, but the people are within my reach that I can access or get out to. Is that right?
Yeah, and as a doctor, it was great because there's a lot of job satisfaction in being able to help people, but I was limited by time, and that's one of the big issues that I had. I wanted to create this impact. I wanted to help as many people as possible, but there was only one of me, right? So if I'm not at the hospital, I'm not helping people. So how do I take that impact that I want and spread it to really the whole world? And what I thought was, if I can help other people after I got my business up and running, I can help other people get their business up and running. And if they're able to either find financial security and be happier doctors, you might have heard of this epidemic of a burnout that's just been an issue. And a lot of that is not being able to pick your own hours and being forced to do things that you don't necessarily want to do, a lot of administrative work. And if you're able to take control of your life, then those happy doctors are making a bigger impact. And that's something that I can help people do as well.
So you're going after this audience of people that have proven that they have the ability to be disciplined, to dedicate their time and their resources, their energy, not just to their practice and their craft, right, around medicine, but now to take that and apply it to businesses. And those businesses, the purpose of those, it sounds like, have twofold. One is to provide an outlet for them sort of emotionally, right, where they can get outside and maybe benefit their own family, but also to use their business as a way then to further their reach to help people when they're away from practicing their medicine. Did I get that right?
Correct. And you'd be surprised how often someone comes up to me and says, "Hey, Pranay, I'm just a doctor. You think I could start a business?" And it's funny because you have to get into medical school, or dentistry, lawyers, and I'm just talking about medical school because that's what I've been through. But any professional degree, you've gone through a lot. You've studied, you've been taking all these tests, and you've really stood this test of time. So you can pick up a lot of these other things pretty easily, a little bit of trial and error. So a lot of it is just showing people that they have this innate ability. And a lot of times in medicine, we're taught not to try something unless we have 100% chance of success.
It's interesting is about a year ago, I was running a class for a group of people on starting your own business. And one of the people that came into that class was an oral surgeon and doing just great, in terms of financial, right? And I said to him, why did you take this, right? I mean, you're certainly doing okay. I mean, and he said, well, the one area that he felt like he was running into that was creating a challenge for him was that while he had figured out and was successful at the procedures, at some point in the career, those procedures became procedural. In other words, I'm quoting him, I was just doing and still doing the same thing every day. And what I found that I couldn't do is I couldn't be creative. Right. I mean, that wouldn't be the right thing either for the safety of the patient, right? Or for other reasons. It's not like I can say, well, I'm going to try this procedure another way. There's other times and places maybe to do that, but not while you're, doing these surgeries. So he said the gap in his life was he needed a way to be able to express himself and be more creative and let that part of his personality have a place to do things. So he was starting a business on his own. And I'm wondering if that resonates with you, if that's also part of what was in your mind as well.
Yeah. And, there's usually a slump 3 to 5 years after you're done with school. You feel confident in your abilities. And a lot of times that challenge is gone. It comes here and there, but that daily challenge that you're racing against the edge is gone. And it's nice to go into something that you have no idea about, starting a business, starting your own practice, starting a podcast like yours. And it's invigorating trying to figure things out, and failing and being successful and getting that first download and that 10th download and so on.
There is something to that, isn't it? It's this, what's my next hurdle, right? What's the next thing? Can I do this, right? Can I grow or expand in that area? And so I think sometimes in that profession, well, not just that profession, others as well, but being able to have that side hustle or that side practice helps to fill that out and to round you out. It doesn't mean you step away from it. Now, maybe some do. In fact, on that topic, do you still practice then today in medicine, or are you full-time over in the sort of business and investing side?
I actually still practice, and most people are very surprised given all the other stuff I do. I'm at around 0.8 full time. I probably need to cut down a little bit more. So at the end of the year, I'll probably do 0.5. But it's nice to keep my foot in the door a little bit. Like I said, I enjoy it, and it is using a different side of my brain.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so let's talk about that entrepreneur side of you then. So you went to real estate because you said you saw that those that had achieved some level of freedom were doing business and real estate, and you sort of found that pattern there, right? You talk a little bit about what it is that you do with that business.
Yeah, and so a little bit about the beginning. In medicine, a lot of the times is you're learning from colleagues. It's like Socrates instead of more of a professor to student. There's some of that as well. But after you're practicing, I reach out to my colleagues all the time and I ask them what they think. So, when I first learned about real estate, I thought, there's not that much people teaching how to invest in real estate without being a landlord. And I looked around, there wasn't anything. So I went to my partner and said, hey, let's create a course that will teach people how to do this, right? And we thought we were done after that. And after a couple of years of doing that, we've had thousands of students, people say, hey, we learned, we like what you say, but we don't want to do the work. We want you guys to find the deals, to negotiate, and most importantly, to follow up to make sure that the person who's running the day to day is doing what they say they're doing. So we created really almost like a bespoke passive real estate private equity company called Ascent Equity Group, where we go out, we find best in class operators that have done this 20, 30 years, and we partner with them, we negotiate for the best terms. And most importantly, there's many people that do that, but most importantly, we have a full asset management. We have a full team that if something goes wrong, we could take over the property. However, that team, they're really focused on the big picture. How do we maximize profit? And, not really doing the day-to-day, like talking to maintenance, finding out about leases. How do we maximize profit for our investors? And, we have at this point hundreds, almost 1,000 investors, mostly doctors, but some dentists, pharmacists, and we really want to create the best real estate investment that it takes the least amount of work. So I own a couple rental properties myself. I have a property manager, and it's still work. I don't want to really work very hard for my investments, but that's just me.
Yeah, that makes sense. So wait, can you talk more, Pranay, about where the investing is? Is it raw land, single homes? Is this apartments or commercial? Can you talk about that?
Yeah, so we do bread and butter, and we kind of focus on people's needs, right? And people need a place to live. And what happens when, like right now, we're heading towards a recession or mortgage rates are going up, people go into apartments. I've lived in apartments in the past. So what we do, middle of the ground, what is often called Class B, like boy, apartments, where when times are good, people will move up into. When times are bad, people will downgrade from the nice downtown apartments to maybe a little bit further away, and or maybe they can't afford a house or they don't want to buy a house and they go to Class B. So that's the type of stuff that we like because it's recession resistant, and even in 2008 the default risk was less than 1% because apartments are safe and stable.
Yeah, safe and stable. Another key part of that seems like the demographics and the geography. In other words, where these are located. Do you target a specific part of the country, or where do you focus?
Yeah. So we call it the business-friendly states. It's kind of along the Sun Belt, and this has been a trend. We've seen it a lot more in the past since 2020 after COVID, but it's been ongoing for 5 to 10 years. People are moving to areas that are more affordable outside of the coastal cities, and now with all the remote work, there's no reason really to live in the coastal towns. You might as well live where you can afford. And they're starting to get, robust neighborhoods and cultures and all that great stuff.
Nice. And when you think about the kind of profile, right? Can you describe what does that look like in terms of the perfect person that you would bring into the Ascent group? Meaning that you're focusing on the doctors, right? But is it someone that's done with medical school, or are they on their way, or are they're 10 years down into their career already? I mean, what does that look like?
Yeah, so all our deals have to be accredited investors, meaning that you have to make more than 200,000 per year for 2 years, or 300 as a couple for 2 years, or have a net worth over $1 million. And that's not our requirements. That's the Securities and Exchange Commission by the government. So as long as they qualify for that, we're happy to take anyone, mostly doctors, but we have a ton of dentists, and it's usually they have to have 2 years of tax returns. So people started investing 2 years after they graduate, and then all the way towards the latter part of their career. So it's nice. It creates stable income. It's tax deferred, so it's money you could start using, and there's a lot of tax benefits. So doctors especially like the type of investment.
Yeah. Is there a certain commitment time? So in other words, are you expecting people will get involved for a 5-year period or 10, or what does that look like?
Yeah, so our deals, we tend to go on the lower end. So 3 to 5 years. That means you put in your money, you get your money back, usually 1.8 to double your money in about 3 to 5 years. Just depends on the deal. And minimum is usually around 50,000. And we have that at that amount because it's really easy for people to get me on the phone and any of the principals who are all doctors. And we want to create really a high quality, great communication system because, even if you're able to put down 50, 100, 250, it's scary. I don't care how wealthy you are. It's scary putting your money down. So we really pride ourselves in having great communication.
What impact have you noticed on this investing strategy with, the increase in inflation rates that's been going on, as well as mortgage rates? Has it had some impact on this?
Yeah. So, and this is really important for people who are looking at these types of deals, also called syndications. People might know it as that. The two things I'd really look at right now to vet a deal is the sponsor, people who are running the day to day. That kind of makes sense. But the second is the debt. So interest rates are crazy right now. So I would try to get a fixed rate debt, meaning that it's 3 to 5 years. So, for example, our last deal that's closed now, we had 9 years at 2.9%. Crazy. And then 4 years of interest only. So we really go out and try to find deals that we think have a ton of downside protection. So one of the most important things, it's always been important, but even more so is what type of debt or mortgage the people are getting. Because if anything's going to go wrong, it's you're not going to be able to cover your mortgage payment and the bank takes the property back.
And that's amazing you share that. I look at the interest rates today, and they're obviously higher than they were just, in the last couple of years. But it reminds me of when my wife and I had just gotten out of college, and this was late 80s, and we were in Chicago, and we were buying our first property, and interest rates were really high. I mean, it was like 9%, 10%. I remember us driving an hour because we found one mortgage place, that give us, half a basis point less. And that meant that we could probably eat every month, right? Because, it was several $100s less on the mortgage. And so that matters. It matters totally what you're saying to have that. All right. So what questions haven't I asked you? You've been very kind to share your time here. What other things do you need to share with people that would help them prepare to take advantage of the services that you're providing?
Yeah, one big thing I see, and we deal with a lot of investors on the active and passive side, and the stocks and all that stuff. Consider the value of your time, right? If you're spending, 20 hours a month on one of your properties and you're trying to scale it up, consider that, right? Most of us don't pay ourselves first. You don't have to take money out, but consider the time that you're spending on this. And, unfortunately, a lot of people in business as well, they forget the time they spent on it. They're like, yeah, it's making 6 figures of profit. And when you realize you're not paying yourself. So the nice thing about our real estate investments is maybe you spend an hour on it a year, one investment, 1 hour per year, and we really try to create this bespoke experience that we take care of everything for our investors, and that's not the right thing for everyone. And some people like to kind of pick their own deals, but we find that most doctors prefer this, and we give them a nice diversified portfolio because we work with different people across the US and different types of deals. We'll do maybe some like very safe deals, a little bit more value add, meaning larger renovations with a higher return. So we kind of really spread it out. And we've been going for a couple of years now, and like you mentioned in the beginning, we've bought over $1 billion of real estate. And so we're really excited about the chance to give this opportunity to doctors, dentists, pretty much anyone that would qualify as a accredited investor. So if anyone is interested, feel free to reach out to me. I'm sure we'll have it in the show notes, but it's Pranay, Pranay, @ ascentequitygroup.com. And then one last small plug. I have a podcast if you want to hear more about podcasting, entrepreneurship, being a doctor, things that I've been dealing with. It's From MD to Entrepreneur Podcast. And you could find it on Spotify, Apple, Google, pretty much anywhere you can find podcasts.
That's awesome. Man, Pranay, thanks for taking the time here with us today. I really appreciate that. Very impressed with the journey that you're on and also the impact that journey's having on people, both in terms of not only your medical practice, but what you're doing in terms of business as well. Thanks again for joining. Hey, everybody. Thanks for listening to another episode of Financial Investing Radio. Until next time, check out Dr. Pranay Parikh at ascentequitygroup.com.
Thank you for joining Grant on Click AI Radio. Don't forget to subscribe and leave feedback. And remember to download your free ebook. Visit clickairadio.com now.